for most of American history, corn, we'll try to use a TOS, TOS safe, was banned. And the outcomes for people who are engaged in it generally are extremely bad. And the outcomes for society itself are not very good either. So I have a multitude of data points that we can go over during the debate. That depends on if my opponent wants to go through it logically or she doesn't. So let me just give you kind of a few of the counterpoints, which I assume my opponent will use. The first one will be, yeah, but if porn's bad, what about alcohol though, Andrew? Like, isn't alcohol bad? And isn't fatty food bad? And aren't all these things actually also bad? And the answer to this question is, well, yeah, sometimes they're bad. And they definitely can be bad for a person to engage too much in those things. But the argument and the point is, even if they were, right? Yeah, let's just assume for a second that they were, that alcohol's bad. The debate's not actually on whether or not alcohol's bad or whether or not I'd want to ban alcohol. It doesn't really have anything to do with anything or ban smoking or anything like that. But whether or not I'd want to ban corn itself, even if I wasn't logically consistent about whether or not I would ban some things or not, it doesn't really matter because my opponent's a harm reductionist. That's what she is. And so, from her view, she's at the mercy of the same argument, which is, well, if it is the case, even that I can just demonstrate that corn reduces harm, then she would actually have to bite the bullet that because it produces harm, that she wants it gone, and then she would have to bite the bullet. She'd want alcohol gone, and she'd have to bite the bullet. She'd want cigarettes gone and fatty foods gone, things like this from the harm principle. She's actually at the mercy of this argument. Now it's a low tier one, but it's mostly what you'll find, like OnlyFans prostitutes and shit like this will use because they don't know shit about nothing. But they're actually at the mercy of this argument themselves. So what she'll say is this: she'll say, "Well, I'm for expanded freedom. I want more expansion of freedoms for the most amount of people." I'll demonstrate very quickly that nope, she actually doesn't want that. If we were to ask her about like the Second Amendment, for instance, or things like this, I'm sure that she'd want all sorts of regulations put on those things. She's not, right. She absolutely would be for the oppression of all sorts of freedoms. And then the last point is just this: if it's all just preference anyway, that if me as a Christian just prefer that corn is banned and alcohol is not, I don't even know what you would have to say about that anyway. Like, what would your argument even be against that? I just say, well, I prefer it, and you say, well, I prefer not it. And then if we're talking about harm reduction, how we measure it, these people never actually have a hedonic calculator for their hedonism. They never actually have a way in which to give you the value of utils, right? They just go, well, it's just shit that they feel. You know what I mean? I just feel like there's more utility when it comes to not murdering than murdering. It's nice, but when you ask them to quantify that with a measurement of some kind, they actually can't because, as Bentham tried to do, one of the, perhaps the father of hedonism, he had the hedonic calculator and it didn't work. It just simply didn't work because there's no actual good way to measure hedonism. Happiness is a subjective metric. And so the harm principle around happiness also a subjective metric. Even if you poll people with data and you get all of their little, like, I'm happy with this, I'm happy with that, that's actually still not giving you a great result for these measurements. So almost any line you go down for this from the Christian view. So alcohol is fine. Shouldn't be a drunk, but drinking is okay. From the Christian view, though, corn is not okay. It's bad for the soul. It has other properties about it that also aren't good, and we can get into each one of those properties. But ultimately, this is going to come down from her view to just simply harm reduction versus freedom. She's going to think that you have better freedoms and stuff if you fuck lots of dudes whenever you want and get paid for it, or vice versa. Dudes, getting in orgies and shit like this, getting paid for it. That's fine from her view because my freedom. But she can't actually quantify that, and they never can actually quantify that. And then if we look at even the data that she would probably use for the corn industry being safe, I doubt she can account for things like human trafficking. I doubt that she can account for the drug use, the high STD rates. I doubt she can account for those things and tell us how that's actually beneficial to society. And then ultimately, from her view, from the prism of the harm reductionist, just try to remember this, that all I need is a single concession that alcohol bad, and she should be wanting to ban alcohol then. But she's not going to. She's not going to want to. So I just want to point this out before we get the debate started, and then I'm happy to dive right into it.
All right, cool.
All right.
Hi, I'm Dudley. Oh, do you want me to go ahead?
Well, actually, just as a quick little announcement, as you
Okay.
guys all know, Andrew's going to be coming out to Newark, New Jersey for our debate con in 2 days. And as you saw in the intro promo, we've actually got another debate that we recently just scheduled. So I'm just going to put that on the screen right now for y'all to see. And it's this one right here. So you should be super excited. Christian nationalism on trial, and yeah, if you haven't hit the notification bell for that, definitely go ahead. That's a new one that's going to be at the debate con. It is going to be the last day to purchase tickets after tomorrow, and also contribute to our Indiegogo fund there, which has blown out of the water. So like, big thanks to all y'all. But yeah, if you still have the means to help out, we really appreciate it. But without further ado, with the housekeeping out of the way, yeah, let's get to it. 10 minutes on the floor. Over to you, Diddley.
All right. So first of all, I find it interesting that Andrew brought up that I'm going to have to be the one to bite the bullet that I should want to ban fatty foods and alcohol. I think it's the complete opposite, and he's going to have to bite that bullet because if public health concern is of any concern to him, then he should be the one advocating to banning those things. The ban on porn that Andrew is proposing sets a very dangerous precedent where the government has unnecessary control over what we, as consenting adults, do in the privacy of our own homes. These are the same ideas that have been echoed throughout history, which led to the censorship or destruction of art, historical artifacts, and book burnings, all based on a puritanical worldview that deemed these things too sexually explicit. Today, some of the notable countries that have successfully banned pornography include North Korea, Iran, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan. Now, I don't know about you, but those countries don't exactly scream freedom to me. In contrast, the United States is a country that values freedom more than anything. So much so that it's the very first amendment in their constitution. There have since been many attempts to ban pornography in the US, all of which have obviously failed. Many people mistakenly think that this isn't a free speech issue. However, federal courts have ruled that anti-pornography laws do in fact violate the First Amendment. Often when debating pornography, the main point of contention, as I mentioned earlier, is its impact on people's mental and physical well-being, which is, of course, an important conversation to be had, especially with how widely accessible pornography has become. However, we quickly start to run into issues when people start calling for bans based on some perceived level of harm, which evidently don't hold up when compared to other things that we allow in our countries. There are, of course, demonstrably worse freedoms we have that are undeniably contributing to the decline in people's physical and mental health. Obviously, one of the most widespread examples being fast food. Yet, obviously, we don't have anyone calling for McDonald's to be banned, although I think maybe Andrew should if he wants to be consistent. And let me be clear, I certainly don't want it to be banned either, because this is a situation where we've actually clearly outlined the level of harm that we as a society deem acceptable. And the science is clear on this. Obesity is one of the biggest health crises that we're dealing with today, if not the biggest. And yet still, we obviously afford people the freedom to eat a Big Mac as often as they want, and we afford those businesses the right to exist. So if the 300,000 Americans who die every year attributable to obesity isn't enough of a cause for concern to outright ban all fast food, then I ask, why should we ban porn when it doesn't even come close to the level of harm that fast food does? What then becomes abundantly clear here is that the issue the anti-porn crowd have is not one of public health concern. It is actually an issue of morality, which in the case of conservatives and religious folk essentially boils down to, we should ban this because I think it's icky, or we should ban this because God thinks it's icky. Well, I like to operate in a world that places facts before feelings, so let's talk about the facts. Problematic porn use is something that is only reported by a small minority of people. The research indicates around 4% of men and 1% of women report adverse effects. So the vast majority of people are able to engage in porn in a responsible and healthy manner, and porn is not something that negatively affects their mental health or other areas of their life, such as relationships or work life. In fact, studies have shown that one of the biggest indicators of self-perceived problems around pornography use is actually moral incongruence. So, for example, if you're a very religious or conservative person and you hold the belief that porn is bad for you, it's sinful and you should stay away from it, but you watch it anyway, that can be very mentally distressing. And let me be clear, it is not the porn itself that is causing this psychological distress. It's the moral incongruence. Meta-analyses have found religiosity to be an even stronger predictor of perceived pornography-related problems than the frequency of watching porn and even daily use of porn. And this is especially interesting when we consider the statistics showing that the Bible Belt states in America watch a lot of porn. And on top of that, they're among the highest consumers of gay porn. So this really starts to paint a picture of how prevalent this moral incongruence phenomenon is in regards to perceived problematic porn use. For those who don't experience such moral incongruence, porn can often be seen as a rather positive thing in their lives, or maybe even neutral, providing them with a sexual outlet and stress relief, and even positive relationship and educative effects such as improved sexual communication with their partner and more attentive to their partner's sexual desires. Overall, the literature and academic community are in consensus that pornography does not negatively affect the vast majority of people. I'm not going to deny that there isn't some level of harm being caused here, but obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we as a society have deemed an acceptable level of harm in the case of things like fast food, alcohol, the things that Andrew mentioned. Much of people's disdain for pornography is one of moral disagreement rather than of public health concern. So if you're someone who cares about freedom of speech and personal autonomy, we should instead advocate for better regulations around porn to ensure that it's being ethically produced and that workers are being treated fairly, rather than state enforcement of what consenting adults should do in the privacy of their own homes. Let's get into it.
Thank you to both of our speakers for their introductory statements. We are going to get into it, and I do see that James has been in our live chat and nipping some. Seems like there's a couple bitches, as he says in the chat, right? See, I'm trying not to get us in trouble, but you know what? Hang out, guys. Grab yourself a beer. It's going to be a long one. All right, you know. And if you're wondering what this is all about, that's right, I have a boot. We are going to be debating whether adult explicit content, as I'm going to put it, should be banned. So I'm going to hand it over to Andrew to respond to some of what he just heard. But in the meantime, I'd ask you guys to smash the like button and prepare those super chats, because we are going to ask them at the end of the open discussion. Over to you, Andrew.
Yeah, so Diddley, I'm not a big fan of Gish Gallops during a debate. I like to go down one line at a time until we can get it figured out. If we have consistency issues, we don't have consistency issues. Are you willing to do that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Could we
great.
start with defining pornography?
Well, actually, I think we needed to start by defining harm. What is that?
Something that results in negative outcomes.
And how do we measure what a negative outcome is?
We can do that multiple ways. We can look.
Okay, go ahead.
Huh?
Sorry. Oh, go ahead.
So
Sorry.
we could look at happiness. We could look at how a society is functioning in terms of maybe economic success.
Yeah, what way do you use?
What way do I use?
To determine harm.
To determine harm.
Yes. You don't have to repeat the question, you just answer the question.
What do you mean, what way do I use to determine harm?
What metric would you use to determine harm?
Well, I would use multiple metrics, not just one.
Okay, so if somebody was really happy, for instance, about, I don't know, unaliving themselves, is that harm?
Is it harm for someone to be happy about killing themselves?
Yeah.
Well, they would be causing harm to themselves by killing themselves, yes.
Yeah, so we should not have that, right? Or we should.
People probably shouldn't kill themselves, yeah.
Okay, and that's because of this harm principle?
Yeah.
Okay. If you had two brothers who were twins, okay, and they wanted to have sex with each other, can you give me a single reason that would be harmful?
Um, there could be potentially some kind of power dynamics at play that could be harmful.
They're twins.
Twins? Maybe not then.
So you wouldn't have any objection to incest, for instance, under this worldview?
Well, I have an objection just on the level of like, yeah, I think it's icky.
Well, but wait a second. They're really happy. And how does it affect you?
Yeah, I honestly don't really care. Could we get back onto the
Yeah,
topic of
we are back to
defining
the
pornography?
topic. I'm trying to figure out what your harm principle is. I'm not going to let you evade. So while I'm doing is trying to
I just said
consistently,
I don't care.
yeah, that's great. I don't care is not an argument, and it's not a response to one, and it's not even a
No, like
position.
I wouldn't see
Okay,
that
well,
as like a
I don't.
morally
Okay, you're right.
bad
I don't care
thing.
about the debate.
That was
I don't care.
my answer.
Okay, great. I don't care is not an answer. I'm asking you a
Well,
question.
no,
Is
it
it
is because you're
immoral?
asking me if I
Is
find
it
it immoral. I'm saying I
immoral?
don't care.
Yeah. So is that no?
So I don't find it immoral.
So then the answer would be no, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So next time say no, and then I'll know that you actually mean no when you say that. Okay, so if somebody had a dead body in their backyard and they dug it up and had sex with it every day, and nobody found out about it, would that be immoral?
Yeah.
Why?
Because as a society, we've decided that we have some level of respect for the dead, and also it would probably harm the people who are related to the person who died.
I'm super confused. If what if you're the only person who knows a dead body's there? They have no
Well,
family
like I
member.
said, we as a society have deemed that we
What
have
if
like
the
some level
person
of respect for the
writes?
dead.
What if the person writes a note saying, "I want to have my body had sex with after I'm dead by my son. Whenever he wants, he can dig me up and have sex with that dead body." Is
Yeah,
that
we could
okay?
also have someone say, yeah, I consent to someone eating me alive. I still think that is a level of harm that is unacceptable.
Yeah, but you haven't really told me why. You just keep saying, you keep on making these weird general allusions to we have society have determined, but the way we would use the metric under a harm principle for if society is doing the right thing or the wrong thing would be based on harm. So if society is doing something
Yes,
which
and I
you
think for
stop,
those
stop, let me
particular things
finish.
you've
So if
outlined, that
society
is
is
a
doing
level of harm
something,
that we deem
yeah, I
unacceptable.
don't know why you're interrupting me. So if society is doing something which is actually not harmful, and they have decided that that's okay, right? Then I don't understand why you're not saying that society needs to let people dig up, Aunt Fester in the backyard and have sex with her body unless you can demonstrate who that actually harms. Because society would just be wrong then, right?
No, because as I've explained a few
Hmm.
times now, we have a respect for the dead as a society, so that would be violating that kind of social contract.
I see. So society and society's moral intuitions become a social contract which we should adhere to.
Yeah.
Okay, so as long as I change society's mind about porn being bad,
Sure,
and
so let's begin. Could you
okay,
define
hang on,
pornography?
stop. I just want to make sure I got this correct. Wouldn't it would it then not be the case that if society agreed that porn was bad, that would now be a new social contract based on their intuition, and you, based on your own harm principle, would have to concede that you should not do then porn, right? Because you
Yeah,
would be
except the
violating the
majority
social
of people
contract.
don't see porn as harmful or
That's not my
bad.
question. I didn't ask what is. I asked about
Are
an
you saying
ought.
hypothetically?
Yeah, I'm asking about an ought claim. That would be a
So
thing
this
that
would
should
kind of go
happen.
back to like what I said about fast food, which is something that is obviously like objectively bad for us.
Hmm.
But we still allow people the freedom to eat it as much as they want, even
Yeah, I'm
though
not
it's
not asking
obviously
about
has
that.
devastating
Yeah,
outcomes.
nobody's disputing that. So anyway, so my question
So my
is,
answer would be the exact same for
yeah,
porn.
if society, that's not my question. My answer is my question is, since you say these things as a society, we deem them to be bad, and that's why they're bad. Not that they're bad because you think it violates a harm principle, then ultimately the arbiter of what you think is moral is society, right?
To an extent, I like we have societal rules, yes. So for example, if every single person who watched porn offed themselves, yeah, we probably shouldn't have porn.
Okay,
If
I'm super
we're going
confused.
into
Okay, then
hypotheticals.
you have to help me out here. I'm trying to figure this out. Is society the rule maker or is harm the rule maker? Like, which thing's the rule maker here?
These
Which
two
thing do you
things are
consider
like kind of
moral?
interchangeable.
Yeah, so which thing do you consider moral? Is
Which,
is
can
it
you
what
repeat that?
society is it what society rules as moral, or is it what the harm principle rules as moral?
Well, society basically has like we're the ones that have created the harm principle. It's kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, that doesn't answer my question. So you have a view of what's moral and immoral inside your brain, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so is that based on harm or is it based on what society says?
Harm.
It's based on harm. So then
Yes.
if something is demonstrated to be harmful, it's immoral. And if
No.
something is I'm sorry, it's not.
No. So
Why
like I said,
what?
from
Wait,
the
what?
very beginning, so
Uh-huh.
from the very beginning, I've stated multiple times,
Yeah.
there is a level of harm that our society deems acceptable. This is why
Yeah, I'm
fast
not
food
I'm
is
asking,
legal.
yeah,
This
but
is why sun
you're
tanning
switching
is
the
legal.
argument though. It doesn't make any sense. I asked
No,
you,
it
what
isn't.
do you I'm not debating am I debating with society or am I debating with you?
Wait, what part aren't you
Who am I
understanding?
debating with? Society or you? Can you answer my question?
What what part aren't you
Yeah,
understanding?
so
What
I'm
do you
not
need me
understanding the
to
part about
reiterate?
who. Well, here's what I need to reiterate. So since I'm debating with you about whether or not a thing ought be done, I'm debating with
Would you like
your.
me to describe like what
Yeah,
my
I'm
moral
sorry. Did you
framework
just
is? Is that
ask
what you're
me? Did you
confused
just
about?
ask me to give you an answer and then cut me off while I was giving it to you?
Yes.
Okay. So would you like me to give the answer, or would you like to go on a diatribe? You tell
I
me.
would like to know if you want me to give you the moral framework that I'm working from. Is that
Yes,
what you Okay, let's
for
go with
harm.
utilitarianism.
Yeah, that's okay. So that would be a harm principle, right?
Yes, and there are obviously
Okay.
harms that we accept within our
Yeah, but
society.
when you say we, I'm not
Hmm.
interested in what we accept. I'm interested
Well,
in
I am
what the
because I'm interested in
person.
reality.
That's great, but I'm interested in what
Hmm.
you accept because I'm debating with you. I'm not debating with a guy
Hmm.
over there. I'm not debating with the moderator. I'm not debating with Steven. I'm debating with Diddley. So Diddley, I'm looking at your view for what is moral, what is immoral. From Diddley's view, is it immoral for two brothers to have sex with each other?
Can we get back onto the
And we
topic
are
about
on the
pornography?
topic.
I've already answered this question.
No, I'm not
Did you
asking
not
from
hear the
your.
first
I
time?
want
Did
to
you
make
not hear the
sure.
first
I
time?
want to make sure it's from
Did
your
you not hear
view.
the first time?
No, because the first time you said society has blah blah blah, and then
No,
when it
that was
comes,
about digging up dead
okay,
bodies
and
and
then
fucking them.
that too, is
I,
that immoral from your view?
if we need to reiterate just to move on,
I
we
already
can do
stated
that.
it.
No,
Do you
no,
have
you said
hearing issues?
society says
Wait,
blah. I'm asking from Diddley's view, is it
yes,
immoral?
and I agree
Why?
that
Why
that is
would
my
it be
stance on
immoral
it.
from your
I've
view?
already, wait, Ryan, can you, I already explained this, did I not?
No, yeah, no. So listen.
Well, I was gonna say
I'm going to ask you again. If you
if we do
just be
need to
quiet for a
reiterate,
second, I'll reiterate the question. I just
okay.
want to know the answer from your view without you shifting it to
That is my view.
society. So, okay, well, I don't know
I
because I
gave
haven't
you
asked
my
the,
All right,
view.
just
I haven't
hold on
asked
one
the
second there,
question.
Diddley. We'll let him ask the question,
So
and
I'm going to
then
ask the question.
we'll try
What
to
I'm
answer it.
asking specifically is this: from Diddley's view, not society's view, not Joe's view, not anybody else's view, from the view of a utilitarian harm principle, somebody had a contract from grandma saying he could hump her as much as he wanted after she was dead. Okay. And there was no reason that that would lead to any type of contagion to anybody else. From your view, is that immoral?
Yes,
Why?
as I stated earlier, it is violating the way that we respect the dead.
No, no, no. That's wait. That makes no sense. You're making now an appeal again to we.
Okay, sorry, I
Oh,
I
if I
respect the
but
dead.
why? There's no harm.
Well, no, I believe that there is.
What's the
Is that
harm? What is it?
that is the harm being done?
What is it? What's the specific harm? What is it?
The specific harm is that you are in complete violation of
Uh,
social contract.
What's wait a second. A social contract. So if
Hmm.
it's a social contract, then again, you're deferring once again over away from your harm principle to some type of societal principle. That's really weird. From
Yeah, so
your
we have
view, the
societal
harm
rules.
reductionist, you just told me that your moral prism revolves around utilitarianism and harm
Hmm.
reduction. I asked you,
So
what's the
that would
harm?
fall under rule
Yeah, so
utilitarianism.
I asked you what you just read that from your own chat. You couldn't even tell me
I
what
don't
rule
even
you
have chat
I'll tell you
open.
what, tell me what rule utilitarianism
Wait,
even is.
what?
Tell me what rule utilitarianism even is. Put your hands up before you Google it though, because I know you're Googling. Now, tell me
What?
what is rule utilitarianism?
So, reducing harm is good, and reducing
Uh,
bad things is
uh,
good.
you don't know what rule
And that,
utilitarianism is, do
no,
you? Oh,
no, I
okay. Tell
do.
me what it is. What is it?
So, utilitarianism would be like there are certain situations where, for example,
I'm asking
punching
about
someone could be
rule
good. Yes, and
utilitarianism. I
I'm
don't care
getting
about
there.
act
Let her
Wait,
answer
utilitarianism.
the
I'm getting.
question, man.
Can you let me answer the question?
Glad we moved away
So,
from
act
the necrophilia.
utilitarianism
Let's go down this
is
path.
basically, yeah. Certain situations might call for things that might be morally wrong, could potentially be good. So, for example, killing someone could be good if it turns out that that person grows up to be Hitler. Rule utilitarianism would not be in agreement with this because killing someone is generally always immoral.
What?
Does that
That would be the
your answer?
difference between deontology and utilitarianism. It has nothing to do with rule utilitarianism. You gave me a
How?
deontological ethic. What is rule
Can
utilitarianism?
you describe it for me then?
No, I need you to. You said you're a rule
I just did.
utilitarian. Okay, so to get this right, murder's always wrong.
No.
Okay, well then you're not. What are you talking about?
Wait. What?
You're a rule utilitarianist. You said killing
Yes.
Hitler would always be wrong. Why would killing Hitler always be wrong for you, the rule utilitarianist?
Well, because it would be from the perspective that murder is wrong.
So why is murder wrong? Even if it
Because
reduces harm?
because that's the social contract yet again.
What? What are you talking about?
Can we
Wait, hang on. I
can
gotta
we
make sure
actually start
this
discussing
is the
porn?
discussion. Right now we're just talking about basic ethical frameworks so we can even get into the debate. I want to ask so just to get this right, you said a rule utilitarian would say against an act utilitarian, you can't go back in time and kill Hitler because that's wrong. Why is that wrong?
Because killing is bad.
Why? Even if it reduces harm?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you are violating someone's personal autonomy,
Even if it
and
reduces harm?
violating someone's personal autonomy is morally bad.
Okay, why? If it reduces harm to violate autonomy, why would that be bad?
Because violating someone's personal autonomy is like detrimental to their well-being.
Wait a second. If you violated Hitler's personal autonomy, thus killing Hitler, you would save the lives of millions upon millions of people. How's that not the ultimate in harm reduction? You're saying that we shouldn't do that because you would violate his personal autonomy?
Sure.
Okay, well, then if that's the case, then I should never defend myself if I'm being attacked by somebody because that would violate their personal autonomy.
That
All right.
that is not
I do want to jump in
that
there,
is not
guys.
the same thing whatsoever. That would be
Okay, why isn't it?
self-defense.
Well, wait. I'm sorry.
That would be an example of
Killing
self-defense.
isn't killing, but the reason self-defense is good is because it reduces harm to you, the non-aggressor, right? Same thing killing Hitler. The reason killing Hitler would be good.
Yeah, but someone
because
is like trying to kill you versus someone merely existing in your presence.
I'm going to ask
So you
politely.
wouldn't
I'm going to ask
kill-
Andrew if you can just to really hardcore tie this into the how would you
because
the
she's
meat
making
beaten
moral,
topic that we
because
chose
she's
tonight,
asking
all
to
right?
make she's asking to make moral prescriptions for things inside of society as to what is moral, what is not, what is immoral. That's going to be determined, and she brought this up in her opening statement. Said Christians, they have X value, Y value, whatever, right? That's totally fine. It's completely fine for us to establish our foundation for ethics for when we're going to be making moral prescriptions to see if they even make any sense whatsoever. In this particular case, here's what I get from her. She says, "Hey, I'm a utilitarian, a harm reductionist. I like to me heart reducing harm. Okay, would you go back in time and kill Hitler, which would reduce I mean she agrees that that would reduce harm. Answer: No, because that would violate personal autonomy. That makes no sense. It's a
That
conflict.
makes perfect sense.
Okay, so any
Wait, what part of that doesn't make sense to
well,
you?
because then you have a conflicting value that's saying autonomy is actually the principle, which is moral, not harm.
Well, yes, but autonomy is intrinsically linked to harm.
Well, no,
Yes, it
you
is.
can
Taking away people's
definitely
autonomy and freedoms is harmful.
you can definitely reduce people's freedom and it could be not very harmful. Like for instance, should I own a nuclear bomb?
No.
Why not? What about my autonomy?
Because
What if I
that
build it
is
in my
a level of
backyard?
harm that's
Alright,
just
we are so
unacceptable.
Wait,
far
wait,
out.
wait. Hang
Hold
on, hang on. No, I can't let it go. Why is
we
it
have
me
to because
opening a nuclear
it's a
bomb?
discussion about morality. It's not a
Yeah, it's
discussion
very
about
important that
it.
well, I'm sorry. You want me to say that I'm going to ban porn based on moral grounds, and yet I can't understand my opponent's morality. Last question. I'll tie it in very quickly. Very quickly. Why can't I own a nuclear bomb?
Because it is a level of harm that we deem unacceptable.
Okay, but we deem it unacceptable. Society does.
Would you prefer if I just said I every time?
Yeah, I'm not debating
I
with
think
we.
I think you perfectly understand what I mean when I say that.
I don't
This
because
is just semantics.
here's what's no. Well, first of all, semantics are super important to a debate. I don't know if you know that or not because it's clarifying what it is we're talking about. At this point, when we're talking about a nuclear bomb and I own it, you say autonomy is the highest value a person should have because to violate it is to do harm. But then when I say if I have a nuclear bomb, you say that's too much harm for society, so they deem it inappropriate.
Yes,
and so you
because
can't have
your
it.
personal autonomies can't infringe on other people's autonomy. You
Got
can't
it.
just kill anyone you want.
Got it. So our value for morality is actually autonomy then.
Yes, which
Okay,
is
not harm.
intrinsically linked to harm.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You don't
Explain
think
how
you-
it isn't.
You
Explain
can
how it
give,
isn't.
you can limit people's freedoms for their own good, and it delivers less harm and more happiness to them.
So it is linked to harm.
No, I'm saying it's when
You
we're
just
talking about a
mentioned
lack.
harm in the
Yeah.
sentence.
Okay, well
while
then
mentioning
then everything's
autonomy.
linked to everything. I'm linking it to your harm principle. So what I'm saying to you is that yes, of course, you can make a reduction in harm or whatever with any metrics you want. But autonomy itself, right? You say, it's linked to this harm thing. Okay, great. But I still haven't actually established what the moral parameters are. If we harm thing and that autonomy or whatever like your other axis is, let's say more good happens than bad thing happens, that means I should do that thing, right? You say no.
Can you repeat that?
Okay, so let's say I do an action, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more good things happen for people than bad things. Should I do that action?
Well, wait, it's highly dependent on what the action is.
Why? Yeah, but then that's not utilitarianism. unless
Well,
I
no,
mean,
it
what
is
else?
because then again,
It is?
because your autonomy cannot infringe on other people's autonomy.
Why?
That's why,
Why can't it?
because personal autonomy is something that is intrinsically linked to people's well-being. And
but
I care about well-being.
Yeah, but why do you care about well-being? Because otherwise it's harmful to not have well-being, right?
We kind of have a biological imperative to care about well-being because that's kind of what aids our survival
Yeah,
as
but
a
how do you
species.
determine well-being except harm? This harm idea.
How do I determine well-being?
Yeah.
People's happiness?
And that would be linked to harm? Or is it just what makes
Yeah.
people happy? That's what I'm saying. Like, if it makes everybody happy to molest children, should we do that?
No, again.
Okay,
so
well then it's not
that-
just about people's I don't have any idea what your actual worldview is.
All right, you promised to try to do a hard tie-in
All
here,
right,
and
all right,
I'll
I'll
let you
tie-
ask
I'll
a whole
tie it
lot.
off.
So can we now hear what your worldview is,
Well,
and
that's-
then can we
that's-
also circle back to you defining pornography?
That's what we're
Yeah,
gonna do. So
I
let's
think
do
I
that.
think that all things which are harmful should be banned. That includes alcohol and fried food and cigarettes and everything.
Wait, so you do bite the bullet then on banning fast food? You think like McDonald's,
Yeah, what do I care?
all
I don't
those
give
fast food places should be banned?
what do I care if you got rid of McDonald's? I don't care. Get rid of it.
Do you think people should it be illegal for people to go out in the sun since skin cancer is harmful?
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Skin cancer harmful, but does the sun cause skin cancer?
Does the sun cause skin cancer?
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay. And are there other things which would cause skin cancer other than the sun?
Like smoking?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, so you would ban people going
So
outside?
I just want to make sure that I got this right. Let's say I ban, well, I'm just using the same metric you are. Let's say I ban McDonald's because society says so, right? They don't like McDonald's anymore. And then I ban alcohol because society says so. They don't like alcohol anymore. And then we ban porn because society says so because they don't like porn anymore. Do you actually have any problem with any of this?
Well, it depends what you mean because they say so.
No, it's just society and the social contract. They said no more
Well, no,
McDonald's.
because like if society says that we love slavery, I don't think we should legalize slavery.
Oh, well, then I'm really confused about what
Wait,
is
can you
the
answer
social
my question
contract?
about should we ban people going outside in the sun?
No.
Why?
Well,
You
because
said
there's no
we should ban things that are harmful.
there's no social contract for
You
banning
said
it.
we should ban things that are harmful.
Yeah. If there's no social contract. I mean, if we don't have a social contract, we can't ban it, right?
So if people think it's bad, then that's
Mhm. Yeah,
that's it.
you don't actually understand. I'm still doing an internal critique, but here's what I'll do. Here's
Well,
what
I
I'll
have
do.
asked for your
Yeah. I'll help you. I'll help you out.
framework,
I'm
and
just
you
trying to
haven't
show
given
you.
it to
I'm
me
just
yet.
trying to show you
I've
how absurd
continually
it is.
asked you to
Here's
give me your
my
moral
framework.
framework.
Here's my framework.
Okay.
I operate under the framework of Christian ethics. Christian ethics is going to be a biblically founded ethical system which comes from the church. Okay, it comes from the church, and it comes from the Bible, and it comes from the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? That's my
Okay.
moral ethical system. And so it's within those parameters, the belief in Jesus Christ, that would be the way in which I would act and the thresholds with which I would act and why I would value things like duty, though harm principles are included in Christian ethics. Yes, all of those things. When it comes to pornography, I think it's perfectly appropriate for us under Christian ethics to ban that. For other things, other considerations, like things like dignity to society, dignity to a person, things like this in the moral consideration. If you were to get rid of pornography altogether, I'm not sure how society gets worse.
So are you saying that basically things that you would deem bannable in society is just based on the Bible? So we should
No,
ban any.
it's not based on just the Bible. What were
So
the
what is it?
metrics that I gave you?
So the Bible and the church.
And the teachings of Jesus Christ, right?
So the Bible.
Well, no, here's the thing. Jesus Christ said all of my teachings would never fit in this book. So there's also things like divine revelation, revelation of our saints. There's many other factors that would go into the complex system, which is Christian ethics. But what I have that you don't have is an unchanging standard from which to appeal. You don't even have any standard from which to appeal. You just say either society has a social contract that they don't like it, or that's it. You have not actually demonstrated why anything would be immoral except just my preference.
So have you read the Bible before?
Uh-huh.
Is there anything in the Bible that you would deem morally reprehensible?
What does that have to do
Like,
with this debate?
but because it's your entire moral framework.
Well, wait a second. I thought that I was questioning your moral framework, that wasn't allowed. Now it's allowed?
I never said it was not
Oh,
allowed.
okay. Then why did I have to move off when I had pinned you down on your utilitarian ethical framework, and now you get to move into mine? Can the moderator explain
Wait,
that
so
to me?
you're arguing from the affirmative and I don't get to hear your moral framework?
I'm willing to give it to you. I just don't understand
Yeah,
why
great.
it is
So
that you
can you
do,
answer the
but
question?
I don't. But
So
yeah.
can you answer the
No,
question?
I don't find anything objectionable in Christian ethics.
Okay. Would you
Yeah.
mind if I read out some Bible quotes then?
Sure.
Since,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So are you for legalizing rape?
There's no such legalization in the Bible.
Okay,
If
so in
you're gonna-
Deuteronomy
yeah.
22, verse 28, if a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married and rapes her and they are discovered, he shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the young woman, for he's violated her. He can never divorce her for as long as he lives. Is this something that you would morally uphold?
Do you know what the fallacy of presentism is?
No.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to explain it to you. The fallacy of presentism is you looking through a present view for things which are culturally considered to be bad or things like this without actually looking through the system of the time through the eyes of the people at the time. So
That's interesting because didn't you just say your moral system is unchanging?
Yeah, stop. I'm not changing it. I'm telling you
No,
that
you said it's unchanging. So why does the time matter?
You're using a fallacious argument. You're the
No, I'm
one
not.
who is using a time argument in order to say that something is moral or immoral. Let me explain, and then
Not
you'll
at all.
know. At the time, first of all, this is not rape. Okay? Here's what was actually happening. If it was the
Okay.
case that a man were to assault a woman, there's very few people in this time period. If it is the case that a man were to assault a woman like this, okay, and do horrible things to her, he would be held to account under a patriarchal system. Okay. What do you do with these people? Well, often they put them to death. Okay. In
Well, in
Deuteron
this case, he's
yeah,
forced to
no,
marry
actually,
her and
in,
can never divorce
yeah,
her,
in Deuteronomy,
actually.
it also moves into death. It moves into death for
No, but
rapists.
this
Yes,
this
yeah, calm
specific
down.
verse
I'm
that I'm
explain.
talking
Yeah,
about,
the
he
Bible's
must
self.
marry her and never
Oh my
divorce her
God, the
as long as
Bible's
he lives.
self-referencing, right? So Deuteronomy doesn't just have one passage in it, does it? Does it have other passages?
hmm
Oh, okay, great. And so
I can
it
read some more if you would like.
keep reading.
Okay, so Deuteronomy 22, verse 20.
Mhm.
But if the thing is true, the evidences of virginity are not found for the young woman, then they
Mhm.
shall bring out the young woman to the door of her father's home, and the men of her city shall stone her to death with stones, because she has done a disgraceful thing in Israel.
Read
Would
it
you
again.
condone this?
Wait, read it one more time. I just want to make sure.
Uh,
By the way, which version are you reading out of?
this is the New King James Version, which I believe is the version that your Orthodox Church uses, right?
That no, but I mean close
I
enough.
mean,
Go ahead.
I can get a different one if you want.
No, it's fine. Just read it again.
Um, but if the thing is true, the evidences of virginity are not found
No,
for
no,
the
I
young
need to
woman.
give me the passage first. Sorry.
Okay, I can get the context before that.
No, no, I just want the passage.
Oh,
Keep it. Yeah. Go ahead.
so this is Deuteronomy 22, verse 20.
Mhm.
But if the thing is true, the evidences of virginity are not found for the young woman, then they shall bring out the young woman to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her to death with stones, because she has done a disgraceful thing in Israel.
Yeah. So
So is this something you condone?
yeah. So Deuteronomy is referencing the law which is given to the Jews. I follow Christian ethics. Do I follow Jewish?
Okay, well, we can talk instead about, let's see. Well, we can talk about Genesis.
So that would be okay. You want to? What about Genesis? What
So
about
we can talk about the genocide that God committed against the entire world. It's a lovely children's story. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's commonly known
you
as
mean
Noah's Ark.
when he killed evil people?
So Genesis 6, verse 6, and the Lord was sorry that he made man on earth, and he was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and the beast, creeping thing and bird of the air, for I'm sorry that I've made them. And I heard just a little comment earlier. So wait, so you endorse this genocide?
If you killed every evil person on Earth
Oh no, it was everyone on planet Earth.
who was
Except for
evil,
the few people who were on the ark.
that's because they were
Also,
the
just
ones who
wiping
were
off.
evil.
We're cool with just wiping off the entire planet.
If they were all evil,
So evil meaning that they simply weren't obeying God.
evil as in they were raping, murdering,
No,
thieving,
no,
doing
no.
horrible
This is just
things.
people who God
No,
was
no,
mad with
no,
them
it
for not
definitely isn't. You need to go
not
back and reread
obeying.
Genesis because
All right.
here's
Well,
what
we can go
if
instead
you're
to 1
obeying.
Samuel
No,
15,
no,
verse 2.
I think first we're gonna respond.
Thus says the Lord of
Okay,
hosts, I will punish
yeah,
Amalek
so
for
I'm
what
gonna
he did to
respond.
Israel,
Hold on,
how
Just
hold on,
he
hold on.
ambushed
galloping,
him.
just
Just
Can I
before you,
just
hold
could
on,
I just
before you
finish
just
this?
move on.
Because this is
you just really couldn't
Hold
until
on,
I can
just before you
respond.
move on
could
from
I
that.
finish this? This is
No,
completely
you
separate
just
from
really
Noah's Ark.
couldn't
Well,
until
I was gonna say
I respond.
before we do the completely separate from Noah's Ark, I do think it's fair just because somebody. I am very interested in doing this type of unpack, but I do think it is fair for Andrew to say that as the Bible I think does describe them as wicked people. But go ahead there, Andrew.
Yeah,
Whether you think that's valid or not, you can debate that. But
Sure,
go ahead,
and
Andrew.
God describes anyone who doesn't believe him as wicked people. That's why they get
Yeah,
condemned to hell for all eternity, right?
because what the reference there is they're referencing that people who don't have some type of synergistic relationship with God are doing wicked things like raping, murdering, I don't know, prostitution, things like that.
Wait, so do you agree that simply not believing in God means you're wicked?
No, I think that not believing in God. So you have to understand that there's two different covens which you're talking about. So I believe in the new covenant of Christianity. When you're talking about what Jesus Christ came, right? He set down what Christian ethical law is. You continuously reference Jewish law, which has nothing to do with Christian ethics. I have no idea why you're doing that.
Okay,
What
well,
moral framework did I say I followed?
you specifically said you follow the church, the
Christian
Bible.
ethics. Yes,
Yes, this is
Christian
the Christian
ethics.
Bible.
Yeah, but do you recognize that in the Christian Bible, there's people groups who have specific laws which are given to them, which is made for Jews only for specific reasons, that there's a new covenant under Jesus Christ, and it's the new covenant under Jesus Christ with its two additional commandments, the 10 commandments, things like this, and Christian ethics under the guidance of Jesus Christ that we follow. Do you get
So you're
that?
saying you don't condone these acts? Is that what you're
No,
getting
I'm
at?
saying I follow Christian ethics and you don't understand what you're reading. So there's
So
I
do
don't
you or
know
do you
what
not condone the genocide in the Bible
they're
and
not
rape and murder?
genocides. Yeah, I think
Why
if
is it
you
not genocide?
I think if you kill a lot of
Wait, can you
really
define genocide?
yeah, so can you just stop talking? So
I
anyway,
did. I'm
yeah,
allowing
I
you to
know,
answer.
great. Okay, so I think if you kill lots and lots and lots of bad people, that's fine. If you call that a genocide, I don't care.